Welcome to Permission to Kick Ass, a podcast about leaving self-doubt in the dust, punching fear in the face, and taking bold action toward your biggest dreams. I'm Angie Coley, and let's get to it. Hello, and welcome to Permission to Kick Ass. I am super stoked for today's guest. Please welcome to the show, everybody, my mom, Mrs. Mary Philio. Hi, Mom.
Hey.
I've been trying to get you on the show for as long as the show has existed, which is not very long right now, but I'm super excited that we got you on. We figured out all of our tech issues. I know the internet went out yesterday when we were trying to record, and it's almost like planes, trains, and automobiles just trying to get this together. But I really wanted to have you on the show because, and I don't know if I've ever articulated this to you. So if I haven't, my bad. But here, you get to hear it as the world gets to hear it. You've been my hero and my model for entrepreneurship. And I think that's because I've watched you over the years try a business, learn a lesson, pivot, adjust, and just keep going despite all the setbacks, despite all the odds. And that's exactly why I wanted to create a show, is to help people like you and me that we've tried and we might be missing something, or we've tried and it wasn't quite the right fit for what we wanted to do, but we kept going anyway. And you're the inspiration for my show. So I love you, Mommy.
Oh, well, thank you. I love you too.
So what I love is that after all this time of trying to figure out where you belong, where you were happiest in business, you have come to a place that makes you genuinely, I see you light up whenever you talk about your business now. So you want to tell everybody a little bit about what you're doing?
Okay. Well, my business is called Rum Cakes and Sweet Bakes. And what it is we specialize in rum cakes, liquor cakes, and that kind of thing. And then just recently, thanks to a friend of Angie's, we started adding half-pound cookies. So in different flavors.
Oh, I love those things. They're as big as my face.
But it didn't start out that way. I mean, we've been doing this for 3 years now, a little over maybe about 3.5 years. And it's starting to really kind of grow and take off. But there's been so many years back that I've tried different things. I knew that it always was going to be in the baking industry as a pastry chef. I had gone to school, learned the basics of all of that type of thing because I've always loved to bake. So I knew that there was a business out there, but there are so many businesses out there that are related to that. You've got the cakers, as they call themselves. They make cupcakes and fancy wedding cakes and fancy decorated cakes. And I just don't do that kind of stuff. And then I thought about we'll just do some old fashioned home-baked desserts and stuff like that. And it just it just didn't feel right. So my husband and I had gone on a cruise several years ago. And of course, when you go on a cruise, everybody always says, make sure you go get the rum cakes. They're awesome. Go get the rum cakes. So we did. We bought a bunch of rum cakes, brought them home, and sat down and, I ate one and was like, well, I wasn't that impressed. And I didn't know what the fuss was about. So I told my husband, you know what? I bet I could do better than this. It wasn't bad. I'm not knocking the rum cakes over there, but it was a little dry to me. The flavor wasn't really there. And I just thought, maybe I can try it and do it better. So I did. I started experimenting with generally looking up rum cake recipes and seeing how they're done. And then I just went about making some of just some general flavors and kind of got it to where I thought it tasted good. We liked it. And we did our first, I guess you'd call it an event, a fair, that was a Halloween festival type thing that was local. And I was scared to death to get out there and go. I thought nobody's going to buy anything. And lo and behold, it really went over well. It was very popular. So after getting that first one under our belt, it was like, okay, so now we got to find another one. And then I started expanding on flavors. I started getting a little bit more comfortable with the idea. We did the big fair that our city has several times, and we would get people that would come and say, wow, I'm so glad you're here. I really wanted to get some of your stuff. You know, hey, I live in this other town. Would you call the chamber and see about joining their fair that they have? And so it just started to progress pretty well. And as I started coming up with better flavors and our variety of flavors, and then experimenting with different types of events that we went to, of course, those got more comfortable as we went along. But I would start getting, you know, people that would be like, gosh, this is so good. And we would definitely have the people who would say, you know, I don't like rum cakes. Once we decided to start giving out samples of our product, then we realized that we got more of our sales that way, because we would have people that would say, I don't like rum cake. Well, here, just try this. You don't have to buy it. Just try it. Or they would say, you know, I had a lady one time that actually told me, nobody makes a better rum cake than I do. Yeah, I make them really, really good. And I'm like, that's great, because, you know, there's so many different kinds out there. But hey, would you try mine and let me know what you think? Mm-hmm. And she did. She tried it. And she says, you know what? I've never told, it's the first time I've ever said this, but yours is better than mine. Oh, so, wow. You know, that actually just kind of, it boosts your ego, definitely. Mm-hmm. And it makes you want to keep going. Yeah. And one of our events that we tried one time was a winery, a local winery that had an artisan market. And we didn't do that well. We didn't do bad, but we didn't do that well. But we didn't have a lot of traffic in the room that they put us in. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't really interested in going back. I decided, well, it wasn't that great. Let's try other areas and other markets and other fairs. And I kept thinking about the winery, though, over the months. And I think it was about a year later, I decided I'm going to go ahead and give them another try. So we gave them another try. They had us in another indoor area. They were not using the area that we were in originally. So they didn't even use that room at all. So when we got in there this time, it was totally different. We had the traffic there. We had the people there. We had, I think we practically sold out. And it was just such a phenomenal experience. We decided to come back because they do this every month. So we started signing up every month. And I mean, our best sales have been at a winery of all places. And it's grown from there. You know, when COVID hit last year, we were ready to do their March market, and then it all got canceled. So for months and months and months, you know, we couldn't do anything. Then in October, they started it back up. And when we went, it was, I mean, we hit the door running. People were coming back, wanting it, loving the product. Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're back. I'm so glad y'all made it. You know, so we're hearing these positive things, and that's what keeps us going after the years. But it's definitely a trial and error type thing. You got to find that niche that not everybody else is doing, and that's where I wanted to get in there. It's like I don't want to do all the wedding cakes and all that fancy stuff. I just don't have the patience for that. But we found a niche that people do like.
Yeah, I've always loved that about you. It was like, I remember growing up, you know, before the age of the internet, always going through, you had these cookbooks and these baking books, and I would look at all these pretty cakes, but like, you've known from the outset that you didn't want to do the fancy cakes that take like hours of design work and, you know, sometimes don't even taste all that good for all the effort that have gone into making them look that good. You've always been about the flavor and the taste, and does this have the right taste? Does this have the right texture? And like, even I was home over the holidays, for context, holidays of 2020, and you were trying to make an orange flavor and tried like 3 different batches and combinations of like base cake. Was it a yellow cake? Should it be an orange cake? Should I try this liquor? Should I try that liquor? Oh my God, I must have gained like 10 pounds just trying different cakes. But the care that you put into making sure the flavor is there, I think is probably the secret to the success and the traction you've had so far, along with And this is the key that I want to make for everybody listening. Putting yourself out there despite the fear, which I think is important. Like, you were terrified of that first event and you went anyway. You had one bad event at the winery and could have used that as an indicator that, like, this place sucks. We shouldn't go back. We'll never have this again. But you gave it another try and then continued to show up. And then you developed this word of mouth following of people that just, they can't wait for you to show up there. I went to a couple of events with you and my stepdad, who I'm going to circle back to in a minute because I love his role in your business. Went there with you and Bob a couple times and saw people just swarming your booth. And they were signing up for 6-packs and wanting to get all the different flavors and buying gifts for other people. And it was just so fun to watch you in your element. The thing about Bob that I love is he's such a natural salesman and he's so supportive of you in your efforts to grow this business. And I keep teasing him that he's like a natural marketer too, because we've all heard of the taste test, right? You know, the sample, which sells all these rum cakes. And then Bob's always joking about the face test. He will get a crowd going at this booth and tell them all, watch this person's face as they try the sample. Just, I'm not going to tell you anything else. Just watch their face.
Yes.
And then people will all want to try their own samples and they'll try a whole bunch of different samples and wind up buying multiple rum cakes just from Bob making a big deal over the face test.
Yes. Yes, that was his little deal, and he sticks with it all the time. And I think he gets more nervous about doing these events than I do. I have to calm him down. He is. I have to calm him down a lot when we go and we're setting up and, things just aren't perfect for him. And, and he's just my helper, he's got a full-time job. So, and this isn't it, but he loves helping me and doing it. And he gets all wrapped up in it, quite a bit. And since things picked back up in October, it's been phenomenal. I had a lady who apparently lived in another city, but she was at the winery the weekend we were there. And she gave me a call and wanted to know, do you have a website? I want to order some online. I would like to order gifts for people for Christmas. And turned out she's a doctor. She was ordering packs of rum cakes and having them shipped to different medical facilities that she worked with. And I think I got a lot of my sales in December from her alone. And she told me, everybody has loved your stuff and you'll definitely be on my list of places. I'll be using you again. So those are such positive things to keep me going. Mm-hmm. And
I remember I was staying in an Airbnb for right before the holidays. And I asked my hosts, because they were super cool people, to come out to one of the festivals that you did at the winery. And these are open air festivals, it was so nice. Like you said, COVID times, everybody was antsy to just like get outside. Yes. And so they came to the booth, they tried a couple different flavors. And I remember their reaction to one flavor that you have that has sold like crazy, which is French toast maple bacon.
Yes.
Big
seller.
The lady was like, I don't know how I'm going to react to this. And then she tried one and was like, oh my God. And then tried a whole bunch of other flavors. And they wound up buying a 6-pack. And then they wound up buying like gifts for a party and then some for them to enjoy over the time. And
yes,
I love how this spreads organically when people find something they love. At a barbecue they held later where they had rum cakes, I literally saw guests shoving and they're wrapped, of course, but they were shoving your rum cakes whole into their pockets to take home, which I loved.
And it's funny because, a flavor like that one came about because we did do an event that our city put on. It was the first time that they had ever put it on. It was called the Bacon and Brew event. So we had to come up with something that had either bacon or beer in it. And I was like, well, I don't really have anything, I don't think a beer cake would be all that great, although I'm sure there's some out there. But I was more leaning towards the bacon. So I just started going through different recipes that use bacon. And I thought, well, maybe a French toast type thing. And then we were able to develop this cake that was a French toast maple bacon. And people say, oh my God, it's real bacon. And oh my gosh, that tastes like a real French toast with bacon in it. You got the maple syrup in it. And at first, it was not an alcoholic cake. We did not put any rum or whiskey or anything like that in it. And then we decided, I have had several people say, why not? Why don't you put some rum in it? Put something whiskey in it. But you need to have malt liquor cake. So we decided to go ahead and give it a shot. And we did put some liquor in it. And I mean, it sells well. I mean, that's one of our top sellers. So it turned out to be something that was just for an event that we did that sold so well that it just became a major staple in our menu.
I love this because it plays into the niching down thing so well, right? You have rum cakes. Rum cakes are what you do, but you also have to come up with something bacon or beer, like you said. And I think this is where a lot of creative people get stuck because they think that constraints are something to be feared. And actually, being a creative person, constraints make you come up with something really, really awesome more often than not. Like when the sky is the limit and you could bake anything and everything, that's almost paralyzing. It's like too many options.
Yes.
But now you are forced to think of a creative combination, rum cake and bacon. Where do I go with this? And that wound up being one of your best sellers because you had these constraints placed on you. But like, do you even think that you would have come up with that on your own if you hadn't been part of this themed festival?
Oh, no, absolutely not. That was the farthest thing from my mind. I was just, making your basic vanilla butter, and your chocolate and your, lemon, a few flavors. But I would have never in a million years thought, oh, let me come up with a French toast maple bacon cake.
Yeah.
And it was just that's what the theme was. And it intrigued me. And I thought, I bet I could do that. So after a few tries, we did come up with the perfect cake. I mean, it's got to be the perfect cake. Now they all taste the same to me. I will be honest with you. I have to pass things around when I come up with them and have other people try them because I can't taste the difference in them anymore. I've tasted them so many times, but I have plenty of willing test subjects that are more than happy to take what I make and try it out and tell me what they think it needs or it doesn't need or whatever. So we do come up with a really good flavor, usually because I do have outside people testing it for me. So.
Oh, yeah. I remember trying all those different flavors of orange cake and being like, oh, this one, I'm not a fan of this one. I like this one. I think you should do this recipe and like trying a whole bunch of different combinations before you came up with the right one. And
yes,
I love being part of the test audience, I have to say.
And taking your sister's advice, we did take the one that we had picked and it's a Grand Marnier cake, by the way. And she said it was a little orangey. So all I did was take the one that we all picked, but we cut back on the orange a little bit. And I've made them. And we have, we're going to Bernie, Texas tomorrow for their Bernie Market Days over this Valentine's Day weekend when it's going to be cold as hell out and possibly icy and snowy. And they said the show goes on regardless. So we'll be there with propane heater, our new Grand Marnier cake, and several types of the half-pound cookies that we came up with, snickerdoodle.
Ooh,
and
you came up with a snickerdoodle after I left. Oh my God.
Yes, snickerdoodle, the birthday cake, even the M&M's cookie, and they're all half-pound cookies.
Oh, goodness.
So hopefully it will be a good market. We do already know that because of the weather, I know that affects people sometimes and them getting out. But even if we do okay and not as well as we would like, doing okay tells me that when the weather's really nice out there, it's going to be worth going back to because with gorgeous weather, the people will be out in droves. So I'm not going to let the weather this weekend bring me down at all about, how well we do. We hope we do really, really well. But even if we just do okay, I think that means that we'll do even better once spring comes and the weather's nice.
And I really love how that has shifted your perspective a little bit? Because you mentioned, the first time you went to the winery and not having the traffic, and it was a whole year before you decided to go back and give it a try. And I think that's common to entrepreneurs. Like, we try something, it didn't turn out quite like we expected. We take that as a sign that,
Yes.
maybe this step isn't right, or this path isn't right. Sometimes it's timing. Sometimes it's like at the winery, it's the way it was set up. That had nothing to do with you. It was just that people weren't seeing you were there. Once they saw you were there, woohoo, everybody loved it. I think that's fantastic. And hearing how that changed your perspective into this one, going, okay, well, we're going into this committed, knowing that we have a certain set of factors working against us, but I'm looking for signs that this is something that we should come back to. I think that's such a vital and needed mindset when trying to start or grow your business.
Absolutely. I mean, we're regulars there now. So they have already sent the schedule out through May. They're doing 2 artisan markets a month, with the exception of, I think, April. And we're signed up for every one of them. And they've also allowed us, we did talk to them because they do Sunday night concerts. Now, they don't have vendors there. They have one food truck. And this food truck, we've become very good friends with the owners of the food truck, and because they've eaten our stuff and we've eaten theirs. And so we talked one time about talking to the winery and asking them if they would let us come up there, because the food truck doesn't sell desserts. They don't sell anything sweet, and they have people ask for that. So they did let us come on a trial basis last fall. There was probably 3 or 4 before it ended for the season of their concerts. And we went, and it turned out very well. And the last concert, the owner's nephew, I believe, who takes care of having people there and a lot of the details, had told us, we get a lot of really good words about y'all and good comments, and people like having y'all here. So, we would love for y'all to come back again. So that'll be a regular Sunday night thing for us when they start the music concerts again. So we'll be there twice a month on Saturdays, and then we'll be there every Sunday. So it's been good, and it's made us feel really good to develop regular places to go where people know that we're going to be there, and they like having us there.
And I've met those people. It's Mary Jane's truck, right?
Yes. Yes. Mary Jane and her hubby, Ricky. I think it's Ricky.
And they have such a delicious, deep fried fatty food. And what I love about the relationship that you guys have developed is that, this wasn't part of your master plan.
No,
you didn't sit down when you planned out your business and tried this, that I'm going to make friends and they're going to help me expand this way. This is just a natural part of taking forward steps, meeting people, starting to get connections to other outlets where you could potentially do business, and just, it's taking forward steps and not necessarily knowing where they're going to wind up, but just trusting that it's going to wind up somewhere. So I love the fact that whenever they find a new place to go, they pretty much call you and say, hey, we're going here.
Well, exactly. They told us about, I believe it was at the end of October, there was a small town called Anderson, Texas. If anybody's familiar with that, they do a Anderson Fest, and they had country music, a couple of big name country music people there, and they had music all night, and they had all kinds of things going on with vendors and shopping. People could buy stuff. And this went on from, I think it was about 2:00 in the afternoon till 10:00 at night. So it was an all day affair. The whole town was shut down for this. And they told us about it. And they said, why don't you get in touch with this guy and see if you guys can join? So we did. We called and we got in. They said they still had room, not a problem. And we asked them if they would put us close to Mary Jane's truck so we could be with somebody we knew. And we did. We were right across from them, and we had quite a crowd. Believe it or not, being a large festival like this, we still did better at the small winery, but we did good at the festival too. So, So it was quite an experience, and we enjoyed doing it. It was definitely worth our time.
And that's cool too, because I'm glad that you brought up the sales at the big place where you might naturally expect to do better. It's a longer festival, it's a bigger festival, but you actually did better at the smaller place with the more intimate group of people, the regulars.
Yes.
And I think that's a good thing to bring up for especially people new to business, because like have your assumptions, have your theories, have your hypothesis if you want to get scientific and talk about testing this, but know that once the rubber meets the road, once you're actually in it, things may turn out differently than what you expected. So I think like going into all of these in okay, well, I want to try it and let's see what happens is like the perfect mindset and attitude to take.
Absolutely. We've discovered that bigger is not always better. Mm-hmm. So just because it's a huge festival doesn't mean that we're going to sell out of everything. We have sold out of everything just being at the winery. And, wineries aren't huge, and especially now when they limit their people that are there, we have still sold out there, and we've never sold out at a huge festival. So, we do like the smaller places where I think people do get to know you better. For us, that's worked out better because then we have a following, a small following. At the big festivals, you have, I guess you would say, anonymous people. They're people that you don't know. They probably come from all over. They do eat your product and buy your product, and they like it, and that's great. But you never hear from them again. We had guys in the band. One of the bands that was playing came over and got some of our cakes, and they really liked them. But that's as far as it goes. I think it's I wouldn't call it a one-time thing, but it's a in the moment. Type thing. Whereas at the winery, you have the regular people that go there all the time, and they get to know. And then you have new people that come and go, oh, I've never been here. And, oh, I've never tried that. And, oh, let me, we tell them, hey, we have samples. We give samples to everybody because I want you to like what you buy.
Yeah.
So that became a big thing. In the beginning, we didn't offer any samples. And so people were buying things and they liked it and it was all okay. But I think once we decided, we're going to start letting people try this stuff and see how it goes over, that was a huge game changer for us. People started, when you have the people that come by, like I said before, they go, oh, I don't like rum cake. I've had it. I don't like it. Well, just try this. This is different. Try it. And they do. We turn them into or buyers rather. We turn them into buyers. And so, like we went to Galveston that one time when you came out there, and, we have people that are coming off the ships. And of course, when you go on the cruise, you're going out there buying the rum cakes, and we had them coming and buying our rum cakes and taking them to their hotel rooms.
Nice.
So, and now with the website and everything, we can get out there a little bit more, and we tell people, just jump on there, and it's got everything that we sell. So if you have any questions, you give us a holler, not a problem. So it's been a really, really good experience that's gradually grown in the 3 years. I'm just glad I finally found the niche that was worth doing and pursuing, and then just keeping it up. Because the festivals are fun. Going to these events are fun. Now, I'm not one who likes to get in a crowd of people. As I've gotten older, I just don't like getting in crowds of people. But this is different when you're out there doing something like this and you're meeting people that really stand there and chit chat with you and talk to you about not only your product, but other things too. And it's a great experience. It's just enough interaction with people to make it all worth it.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's another couple things that just came up for me while we were talking, that there are things that I think that you've done instinctively, and I think you've done really smart. One was, you found the rum cake niche and you've just slowly grown and expanded and keep reinvesting in that growth and trying new avenues and like just growing your fan base and getting people excited. And then the instinct that you had to develop different seasonal flavors, I think is a really smart marketing thing too. And, your daughter and the host of the podcast being a marketer, we're going to have to talk about marketing campaigns on this one, because I'll help you with it.
Good deal. Not a problem.
Like, I remember when I was there over the holidays, like two of your most popular ones, besides the aforementioned French toast maple bacon, were horchata, which is
Yes.
a milky, cinnamony rice drink that's popular in Mexico and Latin American countries. And you made that into a rum cake flavor, and people were just like gushing over that. And then you had an eggnog flavor too, that people were just naturally like, oh my God, limited time, limited run flavor. I got to get some of this. And it's just, I think that's that natural, like it amps up the urgency for people that want to try it. Like, oh my God, this flavor is going away. Or they keep their eye on you to see what flavor you're going to come out with next, or which flavor you're going to bring back that you haven't had in a while. So I love that.
That's true. And it was funny this past week, I was playing with my oven because I'm trying to figure this convection thing out. And so I had a box of coconut cake mix, and I decided, okay, I'm just going to use that, and I'm going to try to figure out this oven and its baking deals by, baking it in the mini rum pans or the mini cake pans that I use. And so it was just an experiment. So what I did was I took the coconut, I added a chocolate pudding to it because that's what I had on hand. And then I decided, I think I'll add some Irish cream to it. And so I did that, baked it. And then I was experimenting with, the top rack, the bottom rack, see how they baked, how long it took, blah, blah, blah. So when they came out and they cooled, and then I let everything sit for 24 hours, let everything soak in. The next day I actually tried it, and I was like, wow, that's really good. And then my husband tried it, and he said, that's really, really good. That's like a Mounds bar. If you like the Mounds candy bars, that's what this came out being. Wow. And so we're like, might have to be a new flavor. We just got to come up with a name for it. Even your brother and his roommate came over and said, oh my gosh, I am taking some of these cakes. So
doesn't he hate coconut? So doesn't he hate coconut?
I don't think so. Well, maybe it was just Romeo. Maybe it was just the roommate came over and got some, but I know he came over and picked up 2 yesterday. and then Bob took the last one today to work. So it was just an accident by trying to experiment with something else that I came up with a flavor that's like, wow, that's really kind of good. I might add, maybe a little amaretto to it and Irish cream and call it something. I don't know what, but we'll call it something, and it'll probably sell pretty good. Because it was even good to me, I guess, because with the coconut flavor, it didn't, I wasn't just tasting something that had a good sweet rum glaze to it. I was tasting another flavor. And so, of course, if I eat it enough, it'll all taste the same again. But it was really good. So it's fun coming up with different flavors.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And then I love the tack that you take at these festivals where you have a sign out in front of your tent that you want to tell them what your sign says.
I believe it's an Irma Bombeck quote that says, "Seize the moment. Remember all the women on the Titanic that waved off the dessert cart." And at the bottom of that, I put, "Eat the rum cake."
Yep. I love that, because we can pile it on a little thick in the States, especially with the diet culture and the, oh no, sweets are bad. But I have yet to encounter a festival where people were like, no, I'm on a diet. No. They try this rum cake and they want the thing. And we're like, yep, see, you could slice off a little bite here and then put the rest in the freezer and nibble on it a little bit at a time. That's not being bad. That is indulging yourself, treating yourself well. And people really love it.
Absolutely. I had even come up with a low carb rum cake. I can't do it in the multitude of flavors, but I was able to come up with a vanilla butter low carb cake that for a large cake, it just had, for the full size, I believe it was 5 or I can't remember how many it was, but it was less than 8 net grams of carbs. And I haven't made any in a while. Those are a little bit more expensive and time consuming to make. So once we realized we were jumping back into the market event circuit, I didn't have the time to devote to that. But here and there, I probably will make them and, throw them out there because they were really popular when we'd have them. People would go, wow, a low carb rum cake. Like, yeah, because, your basic rum doesn't have any carbs in it. So you can actually use that with and come up with a glaze and then the sugar substitute type thing and almond flour, coconut flour, and all of that. And it comes up with a good low carb option for people who do want one.
Oh, I love this so much. I could talk to you all day about the rum cake business, but I'm just excited we got you on the podcast to talk about this. So I think this is a great conversation. If you're up to it, I'd love to have a follow-up at some point in the future. And why don't you tell everybody where they can find out more information about you?
Okay. All right. Well, our website is rumcakesandsweetbakes.com, all spelled out. And on there, we do have an events page. So if you're local in the area of where we are, we do put on there where we're going to be and when we're going to be there. And then that way people can try what we have, or you can just order online if you've already had our stuff, or if you know that you would like it regardless. You can just order.
My best friend did that over the holidays too. When they found out that you had a bunch of different flavors and that you were going to ship, they looked at the flavors and were like, I tried those baked goods in college when we were college roommates, and I already know that your mom's stuff is good. So I'm just going to order like a dozen different cakes. I was like,
yes. Yeah. Yes, she did. I was like, oh, order. That's nice. That's wonderful. So yes, so we do try to keep up, like I said, on the event page, so we can tell everybody where we're going to be there, when we're going to be there, and how to get there. So then that way they can come by and just try it out.
All right. That's awesome. Yeah. If you're in Central or Southeast Texas, or you plan to be, or you're going to visit, definitely check out my mom's site. I am totally, honestly, upfront biased, but they are damn delicious. So no shame there in plugging my mom. So there you have it. Another awesome episode of Permission to Kick Ass. Thanks for being with us. And thank you for being with me, Mom.
Hey, well, thanks for having me, sweetie.
So that is it. Another awesome episode of Permission to Kick Ass on the books. If you want to know more about the show, if you want to know more about me, Angie Coley, and the mission I'm on to help entrepreneurs punch fear in the face and do big, bold things, then head on over to permissiontokickass.com. That is all one word together, permissiontokickass.com. Make sure to sign up for my email list so that you know whenever there's a hot, fresh, and ready podcast episode out for you. And also on Mondays, I like to send out a little newsletter called Kick Monday's Ass. I'm sure you're totally surprised by that. So thank you for being here with me today. I'm Angie Coley. Make sure that you share this with a friend that needs to hear this message today. Like it, share it, comment wherever you're listening to this today, and let's go kick some ass.